Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop, and this week I am tackling a Matchbox 1933 Ford Coupe. And this is one of my favorite designs, one of my favorite cars. The 32 through 34 Fords are right up there in my tops. So um, should be a good episode. I had fun with this one, so you can see pretty much what I started with. As usual, if you like the content, make sure you subscribe and don't forget to ring the bell. So yeah, this one was fun, and I've got a lot of ideas running through my head, and there's so much you can do with these. I kind of I went more of a Hot Wheels route because I'm not a huge Matchbox fan, but I do like this casting. So as usual, you start by drilling it out. I pretty much match up the drill bit size with whatever the rivet head is, and pretty much drill it until the head will pop off. If you do it right, you end up getting a nice little ring that kind of comes out. You can kind of see it there. Not always easy to do, but sometimes it works out really well. And once you get the heads off, you can just pry the base right off and then inspect everything. It's a one-piece interior, and the glass is pretty much one piece, which is just a windshield and what's left of a back window after it's been chopped. The wheels are pretty easy to deal with. You just pry up with one finger, stick something underneath it, and pop them out. And the tabs will allow it to just pop out, and you can keep them or use them for something else. That's your call. Depends on how brutal you are with your finger. So with the wheels that I'm using, I have to use axle tubes because both sets are too short, so I need to lengthen them a little bit. So I use some 1/16 brass tubing, and I use my cutoff disc to cut them open. And after I've separated it, I just kind of grind it down a little bit, make it nice and smooth, and that way I don't have any rough edges that the wheels will catch on. Then I'll just take my pick and I'll just go through and open up the holes a little bit, and that's pretty much it as far as setting up the base of the axle. And then I have a piece of spare axle tube that axle wire that I use. I stick it in there all the way through, and then I'll cut my grooves, which I use to glue the axles in afterwards. That way I don't go all the way through. As soon as I see sparks, I know I've gone far enough, and it works out really well because then I can just pull the little piece out, and it pulls all the crap out with it. You can see the little holes there, and that's where I'll put my glue after I cut my axles in half, because again, they're not long enough. I noticed that a lot of the Matchboxes have a pretty wide wheelbase in comparison to a lot of the Hot Wheels models. So these are Hot Wheels wheels, obviously going on a Matchbox. But you can see after I push the axles in, I can pretty much just, in this case, it wasn't a big deal because the axles were obviously too short. So I wasn't worried about when I push one side in, it pushes the other side out, so on and so forth. But I always make sure I push them all the way in, so that way when I do apply my glue, the axles are sitting all the way inside the tube. I didn't want to bore you with the citrus stripping process, but after stripping, I clean it, wipe it down, wash it with soap and water, then I hit it with a Scotch-Brite pad. And I like the Scotch-Brite because it really just, I don't know, it just seems to work for me in my process anyways. It takes off just that little bit extra that you need. So what I'm going to do now is I have this Blue Magic polish that I use for polishing vehicles, or actually I use it on my car, but it's a nice metal polish. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to put a little bit on, and I'm going to really get it in the nooks and crannies with there's a real worn out wire brush attachment for my Dremel. You can use brass as well, but just this one's really nice and soft. It's really old, and this is the only thing I use it for. And for me, what it does is it really gets the polish into all the nooks and crannies, and allows me to get a good finish quicker. Usually I'll have to put, if I don't do this, I do 3, maybe 4 times of polish. With this, it eliminates at least 2 for me anyways. But this being a brand new casting, not that every brand new casting is perfect in any way, shape, or form, but at least it it definitely helps. So again, to each their own. You don't need to do it. I find it adds, saves me a little bit of time, I guess you can say. So, but it works out really well. And then what I'll end up doing after that is, cleaning it off just to get the bulk of the excess off, because it really does spread everywhere. And the wire brush isn't going to polish it. I'm just helping get it in all the grooves. So then I can take my buffing wheel and really just go over it and then over it again. And then when I think it's good, I go over it one more time. And then I'll I'll apply 2 or 3 coats. I'll only do it with the wire brush once, but I do the buffing wheel at least 2 to 3 times. So hopefully everybody's doing well out there. Hopefully everybody's staying somewhat sane during this weird time. I've been working pretty much the whole time. Actually, things have picked up to the point where I kind of wish I wasn't working. It's actually really screwing my schedule up because I'm working weird hours because we can't get into certain places at certain times. I'm a contractor. It just makes things really, really difficult. So my whole video schedule has been thrown off, and I'm kind of at that. It's like a free-for-all. I'm just doing videos whenever I can. I've got like 7 started projects, and I'm just trying to do things as I can when I have time. And it's been kind of a pain in the neck. So, but hopefully you guys are all doing well. I know I'm pretty fortunate to still be working, but hopefully everybody's staying safe. So as you can see, I'm just polishing and then polishing and then polishing. I've got this Tamiya, I don't know, it's like a gunmetal. I didn't have much left, so I wanted to use it. I did the base and the interior for what little bit's going to show. And then before I paint, especially if I'm going to use, in this case, if you haven't figured it out, I'm going to be doing like a SpectraFlame paint. I use a degreaser. Anytime I polish, I always use a degreaser because I don't care how clean you think it is. You use a degreaser, and you're going to find some residue, and I guess it would actually show up black on a white cloth, but you get the idea. Some polish doesn't always come off, so it may look clean to the eye, but trust me, using a degreaser certainly helps, at least for me. So I've got this Bright Vision Ice Blue. They call it Turbo Flame. It's it's SpectraFlame paint. So I use 3 droppers, eyedroppers. I don't even know what you call them. I bought a bag off of Amazon of like 200 of them. So I'm not trying to use the same ones over and over again like I did last time when I first started. So the Bright Vision paints, you can add, I get this reducer. You don't have to add it, but it's equal parts reducer to paint. I find it works well for me, but you don't really need to use it. I have not used it in the past, and I really didn't notice that much of a difference. But it does thin it out just enough, even though it's like, essentially you're spraying clear coat anyway. So, and then I put a little bit of hardener, 1 part hardener, and that gives it a nice, otherwise it just takes a little too long to dry. Although it's starting to get really hot and humid up here in Massachusetts, unfortunately, because I hate the frickin' heat. But it does help go a little bit faster in the drying process. So, like with any paints, I always mist it on first. Just really even light coats. Make sure you get everything. If you really want to see somebody paint, check out Paul over at Diecast Graveyard. He should be a school teacher because he walks you through each step very meticulously and very eloquently, much better than I can. So, for me, I put paint on, I take paint off. He's very good at it, so make sure you check him out. But I pretty much put 1 light coat on just to get things to set up, and it gives a decent surface for the subsequent coats to stick to. The thing with SpectraFlame type of paints is you can put it on as heavy as you want. When I mean heavy, I'm talking about coats. Obviously, the more coats you put on, the darker it gets. I could have stopped at 2 coats and had a very, very light blue. I put an additional 2 coats on because I was looking for more of a navy blue. And again, make sure it's always even, make sure it's, you know, this stuff really will show flaws in how you paint if you're not careful. So just make sure everything's, you know, evenly done. Otherwise, you'll see light and dark areas that may show up more when it dries than you'll see when you're actually doing it. So after that, pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chrome pens, which died during the making of this video. It kind of sucks with this whole crap going on. I don't know about where you are, but I can't just go to my Hobby Lobbies and Michael's craft stores, and every place is closed. I can't just go get stuff when I run out because I'm a douchebag and forgot. So I had to order some more. They came in today after I finished this. So, but I'm doing the chrome headlight buckets for the 33, and then I will use some Createx Pro White over the chrome once it dries, and it gives a nice headlight look, I guess you could say. And it really only takes like 2 seconds to do because you're just putting a little dab of the Pro White. So just a little tip, if you guys want to try it, it's worth it. And then I'm going to do some of the suspension parts for the front bars and the rear differential cover for the quick change rear end, which is, I've done a few of these real cars, and those are, you know, usually use like a Jaguar independent rear suspension in these. And then a lot of them use Mustang 2 front ends. This one obviously is not, it's old school with the drop front axle, reverse leaf spring style. But the other thing that I do is, and I didn't do a lot to this on purpose, because I just wanted a nice clean, almost like it would have came from the factory. I didn't want to go crazy with the details. So really, aside from the few things I did that are visible underneath the chassis, I'm just doing the grill. And I sped this up, and it still looks like I'm going so slow because I'm so scared of making a mistake. But you can see that. And then I'll take the Nuln Oil, which is like a black wash, and I just kind of fill in some of the areas on the front and back to bring out the highlights of what I did. But these are all the pieces, parts that I have. And time for my Wicked Pisser Jar. This started back when I had 12,000 subscribers. When I hit 14,000, I'm going to give the contents away in a video to one commenter. You must be subscribed, but there's quite a bit of stuff in this. I'm almost there. I'm at like 13,950, I think, as of this video, or pretty close to it. So I'm real close. Maybe another week or so I'll be able to give these contents away. So kind of keep an eye out for that video. It'll be a video all by itself, so that way you guys won't miss it. But you have to comment, you have to be a subscriber. Some customs that I did, and this week I'm giving away this 68 Mercury Cougar, which is a real rider's car. So that'll go to a lucky winner. And huge thanks to all my Patreon members. You guys are rock stars. I couldn't do this without you because I don't make crap off of YouTube. Patreon really helps, so thank you. This is what I started with. Nice 33. And here we go. It's a Matchbox Hot Wheeled version of a 33 Ford Coupe. It's got the Redline Rail Riders on it with the Spectraflame ice blue paint. I love it. I have so many ideas to do on these, but I only had one actual casting. So I think it's really cool. I dig it. I'm probably going to give it away on one of my Patreon giveaways every month. But either way, I love the car. I hope you guys like it too. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and I will catch you on the next one.